Hi, I'm Vix, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your handwritten letters look more three-dimensional and easy ways to add shadow to make them really stand out. The materials that I'm going to use today are a ruler, pencil, rubber, fine line pen, which is optional, and either a felt pen or one of these broad markers. The things we're going to go over today would probably be useful for you if you were designing a poster or working in your sketchbook or a journal and you just wanted to make your handwritten titles stand out a little bit more. Let's get started. So I've just prepared some double outline font. I showed you how to do that in our last tutorial. Obviously take your time, this is a little bit sped up, and a nice positive message because you are all awesome. We're going to start by trying to make our letters look three-dimensional, but I find it helps to think about shadows and where the light might be to do this anyway. So I'm going to draw my little sunshine up in that top left corner, and that's going to represent my light source. And then my three-dimension edges, or my shadows, are always going to be on the base of the letter and on the right-hand side. So you can see that I've drawn little lines coming out at angles at about 4 o'clock on a clock face, and then all I've done is I've tried to join those little lines up every corner on the bottom and on the right hand side of my letters is where I'm going to extend my lines out. In some ways it's almost like you're repeating the shape of the letter, just shifting it over to the right and to the bottom a little bit. You can use a ruler to help you repeat those straight edges, and that can also sometimes help you to get more accuracy when you're extending that shadow, that three-dimension outwards. When you get a curved letter like a U, instead of following the curve round in a circular way, you can use a straight edge because it's three-dimensional and the shadows or the three dimensions don't bend around a corner. You can use a straight edge to extend out, but you need to find the outermost point of that curve where it becomes the bottom right. It's the same with an O. You're just repeating that shape of the letter slightly to the right and slightly lower down for the bottom. And then where it curves, almost like it would be a corner if it was a square, you're just going to extend out that furthermost point. That's why I draw my little light source, so I can remember what angle I'm going to be doing my three dimensions from. So then I'm just going to go over that with my fine line pen, and I'm going to make sure I've drawn in every corner, every point with the pen. That gives you that real three-dimensional kind of angular effect. Remember those edges where there was a curve, where there might have been a corner if it wasn't a curved letter. You can come out straight from there on the diagonal. You don't have to choose bottom and right edges, but I just find that that's easier to remember, otherwise my head gets in a bit of a muddle. It's the same principle when you're adding shadow, and you can do a much narrower line, but again you can see I'm just repeating the shape on the right edges and on the bottom of the letters. You don't have to join them up to the letter. That for a shadow you wouldn't have to necessarily, you can just keep it as a line, but if you want to make it look more three-dimensional, more solid, then I would just join that repeated line up back to the letter. So let's just see how the three dimensions would look if we went to the left-hand side and the top instead. So you can see we're flipping the size of the letter that we're repeating, that left edge, the top edge, and if we thought about a light source and shadows, then that would be coming from the bottom right and casting that shadow up and away from us. There's a lot of confusion that happens, and this is where people often make mistakes, is that they get their edges muddled up, which edges that they're extending out from. They might end up doing a left edge and a right edge, and then your letter doesn't look three-dimensional, it just looks a little bit of a mess and a bit confusing. So the key is, with looking 3D, with adding shadow, pick your side, pick your top or bottom and stick to it. Just get rid of those lines there. You can see then when you, even if you're still going top and left we're extending the top line of that middle section of the E. It looks right if we're thinking that our light source is coming from the bottom right. I just wanted to show you as well how to make the letter S look 3D, because it's a bit of a tricky one. There's lots of curvy bends in it, but in theory the principle is the same as with an O or a U. So you're just finding the outer edges for the bottom and the right and extending out from that outer edge. Copy the shape, so copy the bend round. The section that you might find a little bit tricky is that middle bit. Do you take it out because it's quite flat? So do you take it out, and maybe just a tiny bit. You can see I've just added a tiny hint of a shadow underneath, or a hint of 3 dimensions underneath. Because it's like a middle bridge, so you may not really see that in 3D. There we go. So a little bit of magical time lapse to speed things up a bit. There's our 3 dimensions. The middle word looks a little bit funny because it's not the same depth. We didn't extend out quite so far. But basically, if you want to now make those look as if they're shadows and really make the letters pop, just grab a pen or pencil or whatever material you're using and fill in the shapes that we've extended. I'm using a broad pen here because I didn't want to use my fine liner because it really uses up loads of ink, and the broad pens are quite nice quality, really smooth, and will just fill those shapes up nice and quickly. I just need to be careful here that I don't go outside the edges with the bigger felt tip pen. Oh, quick tip, because I've noticed an annoying pen mark on the page which has come off of my hand. This is a typical artist problem. So just remember, like I didn't, to put a little piece of paper or an envelope or something under your hand when you're working with these pens or with a pencil. It just stops the smudging. And there we go. You are awesome in 3D. Just using my felt tip or my broad liner pen, instead of drawing out with pencil all the 3-dimensional depth, I'm just literally going along that bottom edge and the right hand sides of the letters. So you don't need to extend anything. It's a really simple, quick way of adding shadow if you've got that slightly thicker pen. This technique works with every style of letter. I think this one is called Great Wishes, which is a little bit more fluid than that simple font that we were using, but it's just drawing along the right hand side, going to the bottom edge of that point, a little bit narrower on this style of lettering at the bottom. There we go, 3-dimensional Great Wishes A. And an old favourite, Times New Roman. Same again, if we want to make it look 3-dimensional, every corner point we're just bringing out just slightly on the bottom and the right to about 4 or 5 o'clock on the clock face. Just remember to stop when you hit the letter to give it that 3D solid effect. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that useful. As always, keep practicing. You're going to get better and understanding how the light and the shadows work with the letters will come more naturally. Try it with a few different styles of lettering. I'd love to know how you get on. Next time I'll be showing you how to draw that complicated letter S. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see more, and thanks for watching. Bye!